Uh,
Sorry.
but a business user, when they need to... Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. So what I'm trying to ask is, instead of ESS, can't we make it dynamic? Let us say when user comes to the specific, because I'm more on HR, I am not able to, pronounce these like finance transactions, right? This billing. So when he comes here, click on the notes, some button, right, where it should, open that report. Can't that be possible?
Okay. Yeah, it might be possible. So, but you need to explore those options to see if it's possible or not. By default, yeah. In some screens, yes. If you want to say that, yeah, but can't we add a button and when I click on it, the invoice should be printed? Yeah, it might probably be possible or it might not be. I'm not particularly sure on that. Okay, but usually when you and not for everything. So we're talking about a BIP report here, right? And we are looking at a report use case, but you might be building a BIP reports for outbound integrations as well, right? Whenever you have to do a bulk extraction. In that case, you don't have a screen where you can add an attachment or add an option to print the report. So what we usually do is we don't plug them into the screens because personalizations has its own restrictions. So for that reason, what we do is we register it as an ESS job, so that user can run it by going into a schedule process screen. So we register that as an ESS job, enterprise scheduler job, so that user, whenever they want to print any transaction, what do? They go to tools and they go to schedule process and they will run the job, run the ESS job that you have created.
So
so they will go ahead and schedule a new process.
Okay. So you are saying users will have the access to the tools level?
Yes, of course, they will have access to the tools and they will have access to scheduled process, because not just the custom report that you are building, they will have to run n number of other seeded ESS jobs given by Oracle. Yes, they will have access to tools, but not all the options that you see in tools, but some of them.
That's what I'm a little worried. Okay.
Yeah. And what do we need to do now? We have we have a task cut out. All we need to do is create an AR invoice print report, and I'll go back to the billing screen and leave it open so that as we build the query, we can verify whether we are going in the right direction or not.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yes, please go ahead, Saurabh.
Sir, how can we create VIP reports in real time?
Now we'll be doing it now. So probably by end of tomorrow's session, you will know how to create a report in real time.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, we're going to do that now. So you go to receivables and you go to billing. I'll just have the invoice open here and we will start off with a BIP report build now. Let me search for a specific transaction. And I need to pull information from this screen, and I need to generate a report output which looks like this. That is the use case. So that is and we're going to build this as a business intelligence publisher report, or in short words, a BIP report. And how do you start? So the way you start is, okay, let's close this. I've logged into the same instance as a Fusion.tech user, and I'll show you the navigation from home page. To build a report, you have to go to tools, and under tools, you will see something called as reports and analytics. Click on it. And you don't need to do anything in this screen. All you have to do is click on browse catalog. And it will bring you into this a business intelligence server screen. So this is a BI server Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence is highlighted there, but yeah, you will be building a BI publisher reports as well as OTBI reports as well as FRS reports. All of them will be stored in here. You can think of this as a reports repository. Okay. And in here, you will see two folders in here. You'll see two folders, my folders and shared folders. My folders, it's like your work area. If you create a report and place it in my folders, it will not be visible to others. So if you create a new report and place it here, only Fusion.Tech user will be able to see it because we created it with Fusion.Tech user. And yeah, you might probably, if you're building your first report, or if you want to just save dummy queries, or if you want to build some data model to quickly extract information that you need when you're doing a data load, that's when you normally place the data models here. When you create a report which you want to publish, or which you whenever you create a report for a client requirement, you will go ahead and place it in the shared folders. And in the shared folders, you will have there will be quite a few folders here because it's a Training Institute website. But if you scroll down, there are two folders that you need to pay attention to here. So in the shared folders, you will have a folders given for application. For each and every application, Oracle has given a seeded folders. Because remember, the BIP and OTBI reports, Oracle would have given many out-of-the-box reports, right? Many reports out of the box. So those reports will be available in these seeded folders. So you have one for financials, you have one for HCM, right? So these folders contain reports that Oracle has given for financials module, and this folder will contain reports given for HCM module. And if you go to financials, if you expand it, you will see modules again within that. You will see GL, fixed assets, etc. And if you go within a specific module, you will be able to see subfolders. And if you go into, say, journals, you will be able to see the seeded reports given by Oracle for journals. And the same way, if you go into HCM, you will be able to see HCM folders in there, and payroll, core, HR, etc. And if you go into, say, workforce management, for example, and if you go into a person management, okay, so you will have, if you scroll down, you will be able to see the reports in there, a global person absence entry report. So these are like under shared folders for each and every offering or a product family like financials, HCM, SCM. You will have folders given by Oracle, and these folders have the seeded reports given by Oracle, whether it is BIP or OTBI, they will be available within these folders. That's point number one. Point number two, where do you have to create your report? So we are going to create a BIP report now, right? Where do you place it? We place a BIP report in a folder called custom folder. Under shared folders, you will have a folder called custom folder. Don't get misled by the name. Don't think that this is a folder that we create. By default, when client gets a new instance, there will be this folder called custom already available under shared folders. And you need to, whenever you build a new custom BIP or an OTBI report, you go ahead and place it within this folder. Okay. And inside this, so if you ask, can't I place it outside of the custom folder? Can't I create a new folder and place your report? Place my report. You can definitely place it. But the benefit of placing your report in a custom folder is, this is an upgrade proof folder. What it means is, whenever Oracle does some maintenance activity in the instance, whenever it applies some patches or whenever it upgrades the instance, it will not touch this folder. Okay, so it does not touch this folder. So for that reason, you need to create your report within the custom folder. So go ahead and expand it. And inside the custom folder, we will create a new folder for your batch, create a new one. And how do you create a new folder? Once you are within the navigation, shared folders custom, you click on this drop down. And when you click on the drop down, you will see the options available here. So to create a new folder, click on the first option and add in a new folder. Add in FT14. And within this folder, we are going to create our BIP report. And what are the steps involved in BIP report creation? What are the steps involved in that? There are 2 steps. First, you need to build a data model. And what will the data model do? Or what does it do? It will pull the data from database. And in the data model, you will be plugging in SQL queries. And these SQL queries will be run against the database. And it will pull the data from database. But output will be in XML format. Okay. So this is the first step. So let's go ahead and do that. And go back. And how do you create a data model? To create a data model, you click on the drop down again. And under published reporting, so there are 2 sections here, analysis and interactive reporting. This is your OTBI options. And a published reporting is a BIP options. So under published reporting, you see a data model in there, click on it. And you will see a blank screen like this. And in the blank, and in here, you will have to plug in your SQL queries. And SQL queries, I'm not sure if you guys have experience to have prior experience in SQL or not. If you have worked as a technical consultant, you know, you would definitely know SQL, but it doesn't matter even if you don't know it, because all you need to do here is write a simple select statements, which will pull the information from database. So I need to pull this information from invoice. I need to pull the details from this particular screen. And the worst part in ERP Cloud is, I don't hesitate to call it as a worst part, because you don't get to see the table which stores this information. In EBS, if you have a screen, you can figure out from which tables that information is being pulled. So if you look at the record history, you will have a view. And if you look at the view script, you will be able to figure out what tables store the information, or from what tables information is being displayed. So you see this transaction number and all these details, right? So this information is stored in the database table, but you won't be able to figure out what table is storing this information from the application. So that makes your life tough in case you are a fresher. But in case you are an EBS technical consultant earlier, the good news is tables haven't changed in ERP Cloud. So more or less the same table structures, the same table names are hold good in ERP Cloud as well. So if you look at the invoices information is still, it is stored in a table called RA customer lines. RA customer transaction all table. So this stores the invoice details and RA customer transaction lines all table. So this table contains the invoice line details. So if you are an EBS tech consultant, you already know this information, and it holds good in ERP Cloud as well. But what if you have to figure out this information? Or what if you are building a report for which you don't know the table details? 2 options or 3 options maybe. A simpler option is do a Google search. It will help you in many cases. So if you don't know the table name, which stores the AR invoice information, what do? You open up a Google search and you type in AR invoice tables in ERP Cloud. Okay. And if you look at a couple of posts that have come up, you will notice that there is one table that is showing up prominently, or a customer transaction all table. And you see another table called or a customer transaction lines all table. So you can copy the table names from there, but that is still not a confirmation for you whether these are the right tables or not. But you can pick up cues or hints from the Google search. But if you don't want to use this approach, another approach is you can go to the Oracle Cloud documentation link. You can type in you can type in Fusion Financials, Tables and Views, Oracle Fusion Financials, Tables and Views. And you can go into the Oracle documentation. It is called as Technical Reference Manual. So you can go in there and you can search among the 1,000 tables that are available here, thousands or 10,000 tables. So this screen will have all the tables available, all the tables and views for a financials application or a financials cloud. So you can click on go to latest release to see the latest release tables. So what I recommend is do a Google search, try to get some hints from there. And if you get say 3 or 4 tables and you don't know which one of them is right, you can go into the documentation after that. And in the documentation, you go into receivables and you go into tables. And if you scroll down, you will be able to see all the tables in there. And it is impossible to go through each one of them to figure out what table might contain the information. So you might search with some keywords like transaction, right? Or you might search with something like customer or customer_TRX. And when you do that, you get hints, you get a few hits. And to look at the table description, you click on one of them, and it'll give you a description as to what information is stored in these tables. So if you click on transaction lines, it has pulled out the table information. And what does it say? What does the documentation say? This table contains the AR transaction information, right? So this is what I need then. So this is a table which stores invoice information. And you can see the primary key. Primary key is customer transaction ID. Every table will have a primary key. And if you scroll down, you will be able to see all the columns that are part of this table. And apart from transaction table, I also need a lines table as well, right? So for the lines table, if you scroll down, immediately after the transaction table, there is a transaction lines table as well. So if you click on it, what does it say? It stores the line level information about the invoices. So to get the header level details about an invoice, I can query this table, and to get the line level details, I can query this. Okay, so this is how you identify the tables. Okay, now let's go ahead and see if this table is correct or not. So I copy this table name and I go back into the data model that we have created earlier. Click on the plus icon here, click on SQL query, and you give it a name there. You say AR invoice header. Okay, so you can say AR invoice header, and you can click on the data source. This is important. So sometimes students might forget to change the data source. And if you forget to change the data source, and if you write in a query there, if you say select star from this table name, so SQL query, select statement pulls out information from a table. And if you use star, it means it pulls out all the columns from this particular table. So if you click on OK, you might get this error saying that table or view does not exist. And what this means is, this means you haven't changed the data source to appropriate one. So click on the data source and select application DB FSCM as a data source, because the report that I am building belongs to financial module. So if you're building a report which is related to financials or SCM module, you pick up application DB FSCM. If your report belongs to HCM, you pick up HCM. If your report belongs to CRM, you pick up a CRM as a data source. Select FSCM, and because we are printing an AR, we are generating an AR invoice print report, which is a financial report, right? So use, what are we doing here? We're doing a select star from RA customer transactional table. Click OK. And that will pull out all the columns from the table, right? And how do you run this data model? How do you run this query and get the information from a database tables? You go to data and you click on view. Go to table view. By default, the view, the information will be displayed in tree view. And by default, the query, only the first 5 rows fetched by the query will be displayed. So you don't need to add in where row num less than 5 condition. Usually or by default, the output will be restricted to display only the first 5 rows. If you want to increase the limit, you can click on the drop down and increase the number of rows that you want to see. So click on view and go to table view, because tree view, most of us wouldn't be comfortable with it. So click on table view. And when you click on table view, you will be able to see the information in a tabular format. Okay, so you will be able to see the information in tabular format. And what do you see in there? So if I scroll to the right, I could see a transaction numbers in there, and I can see a transaction date. So this table, it looks like it is a table that contains AR invoices information, right? So what do I do? When you're building your report, when you're building a report, always build your queries with a use case or with a sample transaction, so that you can verify whether your queries are correct or not. In this case, I will use 5001 transaction number as an example, and I will start building the query. So what do? I don't want to pull all the queries, all the invoices here. So because if you look at the query, what is the query that we have used? We have used select star from RA customer transaction all table, right? So instead of that, so what will this query do? It will pull all the transactions. Okay, and it will pull all the transactions from this table, and it will pull all the columns for each and every transaction. And I want to restrict this query to pull only the transaction number equal to 5001. So I'll put in a where clause, and I'll say transaction number equal to 5001. So I copy this, go back and paste it there. And when I search for a transaction number now, go to the data tab, run the report query, and you still see multiple rows in there. So if you scroll to the right, yes, these are all 5001 transactions, or these are the transactions with 5001 as a transaction number. But if you scroll to the right, why are we having multiple transactions with the same number? That's because this transaction number is unique within a BU, within a business unit. So for a transaction, again, if you don't know what a business unit is, Ravi will clarify or will explain it in detail in the enterprise structure session. But till the time you have that session, think of it as a business unit, or think of it as a logical unit where the transactions are carried out. Okay, so you have a multiple. You typically have multiple business units, and when you create a transaction, you create it within a specific BU. So this transaction is created in Dinesh US Retail BU, and similar transaction number can exist in other BUs as well. Other BUs other than this. So that's why when we search for a transaction, when we search the invoices table with 5001, we're getting multiple records here. So if you scroll to the right, you will be able to see something called as organization ID there. So if you scroll to the right, there is a field called org ID. So this org ID stores the business unit ID. So you see a business unit here. So this business unit is nothing but an organization, and that has an ID attached to it. And that organization ID will be stored in this particular column. So you see organization name in the front end of business unit name, but the business unit ID or org ID will be stored in this org ID column. And you see this org ID is different, right? Different for these transactions. So what that means is, yes, there is 5001 transaction number that exists in multiple organizations, right? So multiple business units. So let me add in one more query there. Add in one more query, and I'll just call it as 1 because I'm going to delete this later on. So I'll change the data source to FSCM. And there is a table called HR operating units. You can still use this table in ERP Cloud as well. You can query this table to figure out the business units that are defined in the ERP Cloud instance. So there is you can still use this view and click on OK. And if you go to the data tab, so in the diagram, you have multiple queries. Now you have two queries with no link between these queries. So these two queries work as a standalone queries and it will pull the information from database. So you go to data tab and click on view, go to table view, and you see that the information pulled by the first query is displayed at the top and information pulled by second query is displayed here. And if you look at here, so these are second query is pulling the business units information, MVC BU, Salvation BU, Construction BU, right? So in this second table, in this second query, let's put in a restriction. Let's search for this BU. Let's say where name equal to Dinesh US Retail BU. And if we do it this way, the second query should give us only one result now. And what do we have in the second query? We are querying the business units, and we have restricted we have restricted it to pull a specific BU details, and you could see an org ID in there. So you copy this org ID. Okay, so for this business unit, what is the organization ID? It is this organization ID, right? So what you can do is, if you want to, what do you want to do now? You have in the invoices table, you have org ID column. In the invoices table, you have org ID column, which is storing the organization ID or organization ID. And in another table called HR operating units, for that organization ID, you can get what is the name, right? So for this report, this report is going to get two inputs. It is going to take in a business unit name and transaction number as parameters. And based on those inputs, it is going to print the transaction number from that BU. So we should be able to receive BU name as an input and a transaction number as input to this report. And we need to print whatever value a user passes in as input, right? So what I need to do here is I need to link up HR operating units table here. So when you till the time you have only one table, it's fine even if you don't have an alias. But if you are adding multiple tables, it would be better if you add an alias after each and every table. So here after RA customer transactional table, you can add an alias called RCT. Why RCT? Again, you normally follow a naming convention like you pick up a first letter from each word, R, C, T, and you call it as RCT. And you can add in another query, another table, and you can add in HR operating units table, and you can call it as, give an alias name as HR, and where a transaction number, this transaction number join condition is for RCT table. So you say RCT.transaction number equal to 5001. Okay. And you have two tables now, right? You need to link these two tables up. Otherwise you will get a Cartesian product. Okay. So you need to link these two tables up. Otherwise you get duplicates. So how do you link these two tables up? In RCT table, you have org ID column where RCT.org ID. And this column is same as HR.organization ID. So in HR operating units table, there is a column called organization ID. So this table has a business unit information and it has organization ID details in there. And on the invoices table, there is an org ID column which has the same details. So org ID is a common column. So you use it to link invoices table with a business unit table. Okay. And what else do you want to do? I want to print a 5001 transaction number from Dinesh US Retail BU. So what I do is I will add in another condition wherein I say HR.name equal to Dinesh US Retail BU. So what am I doing here? So I'll just rearrange these conditions. Okay. So what am I doing here? I'm querying two tables, invoice table and a business units table or operating units table, and I'm applying a filter on the business unit table, and I'm searching for a specific BU. So this will give me one record from operating units table, and that operating units and then just give me a and in that operating unit, I want to print a transaction number 5001. And since I have two tables, I need to link them up, and I'm linking them up with a common join condition called org ID. And I want to pull all the details from RCT table, which is our invoice table. I can copy this, go back to the data model, and I don't need this query. I don't need G2 anymore. And the G1, I will edit it and I will paste in a query to pull the invoice details. So I click on OK now, go to the data tab and view the information now. And if you go into table view, you will be able to see only one record now. And if you want to verify whether you are viewing the right transaction or not, so you can scroll to the right to see the details and see if the information that you are seeing here, is it matching with what you see in the application. So you see a transaction number and you see the transaction date as well. What is the date that is showing up? 18th February, right? So if you go back into the application, you see transaction date in there. What is the date that you're seeing there? 18th February, right? So that means you are looking at the right transaction. So that means your query is correct. Your query is giving you the right result. So that's how you build a queries. Okay. And what details do I need from a header section? I need transaction number, transaction date, currency code, and business unit. So you scroll to the right and you copy the fields that you need. So I need a transaction number. So since I don't need all the columns, I need few specific columns. So I say RCT.transaction number. And I need a transaction date. So I'll say RCT.transaction date. So if you mention a specific column name, those columns only will be pulled. And what else do I need? I need the currency code. So if I scroll to the right, let me see if I have a currency code available. So you see that there is a currency code column, invoice currency code. So I say RCT.invoice currency code. Okay. And what else do I need? There is one more column that I need. One more information, which is a business unit. So that business unit is nothing but a HR.name. Right. So I will copy this, edit the query, and I don't want to pull all the columns from invoice table. If you want to pull all the columns, you say RCT.star. Instead of that, I want to pull only 4 columns from the invoice table, 3 columns from invoice table and 1 column from operating units table. So you add in those column details and you could see only 4 columns now. And you go to the data tab, view. And if you go into table view, you will be able to see the details that you need. Yes, I need 4 columns from invoice header table and I need to print them at the top here. So I've got those details. But if you look at the details here, you have a transaction number, invoice currency code and name. But these columns have, these fields have the column name as a heading, right? But if you want, you can give alias names as well. Say, for example, if you want to call this as, say, currency code instead of invoice currency code. If you want to say, or if you just want to say currency, you can do that. And this name, instead of showing it as name, if you want to show it as a BU name or a business unit name, you can do it that way. Okay, so you can say BU name. BU stands for business unit. Okay, so you copy this, paste it in there, click OK, and you go to the data now and run the result. So if you look at the data, yes, the columns have the alias names that you have given. So the currency, BU name, transaction number, and you have transaction date as well. But if you look at the transaction date, there is a timestamp in there, right? So you don't want to print a timestamp in a report, because it doesn't matter whether you create at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, right? In a timestamp, it doesn't really matter. So we need to print just the date. So to print the date, you can format the date using this specific way, or you can use this function. So what you can do is, there is a toChar function that you can use. A toChar function will help you to convert a date into a different format. So this toChar, to_char is a function. It will take in date as a first parameter, and as a second parameter, you can pass in the format into which you want to change the date. So I want to change the date. I want to change this RCT transaction date into this specific format, DDMMYY. So I copy this and I paste it in there. So instead of pulling just the transaction date column, I want to format it using, I'm formatting it using toChar function, and I will use a transaction date as an alias here. And you copy this, go back into the application, edit it and paste it, and you go ahead and run the query now. And if you go to the table view, you are able to see the details. So what do you see in there? You see that the transaction date is more formatted now. It is getting displayed in DDMMYYYY format, whatever format you have selected here. Okay, so we are done with our first query. So, but apart from this, we need to build 3 more queries to pull other details, right? So we need to build 1 more query to pull the line information, and we need to build 2 more queries, one to pull the bill to information and another one to pull the ship to information. So we'll stop here for today, and tomorrow we'll start building this data model further. So we need to include 3 more queries in the data model, and we'll do it tomorrow. Let's save the data model so that we don't lose our work. We'll save it to shared folders. We go to custom folder, and in the custom folder, I think we created FT14 folder just now. Yeah. AR invoice report data model, and save.
Right. Prasad, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah. Can we see the seeded reports template, data template?
Yeah, you can see. You can after the session, probably you can log into the financials folder or HCM folder, whatever module you are interested in. You take in you take the reports that are delivered. You will be able to view the queries as well as the templates as well.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's what I was trying to ask. Okay.
Yeah, you can see what Oracle has delivered.
Sir, how can we create data models in BI reports?
Saurav, who is asking this question?
Oh, sir, I am Saurabh.
Is it Saurav?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I don't know about BI reports and AR.
Now, what is? Can you tell me what we have been doing for the past half an hour?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I am fresh.
What did we do? No, you are fresher. That's okay, Saurav. What I'm asking is, what did we do? What are we doing here? What is this?
Data model.
And what is the report that we are building? A BIP report. I have explained the use case. I have explained how to pull the tables. I have explained how to pull the queries, how to join them. I have explained at each and every step. I am telling what we are going to do, and each and every step I am also explaining what I am doing. So we have been building a data model in a BIP report for the past half an hour, and you are asking me again how to build a data model in a BIP. This is how you build it.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Does anyone else has a problem, or is everyone else able to follow what I'm saying? I've gone down to the lowest possible level, guys. I can't get down below this, and I'm not sure if I have any problem. Others, can you please let me know if anyone has any problem, or is everyone able to follow what I'm explaining in the session?
Yes.
Yes, Prasad, I am able to follow it.
Okay. Saurav, this is what we are doing, what we have been doing for the past half an hour answers your question. So, yeah, this is a BIP report, and this is how you build a data model. And I'm not sure what exactly you are not able to follow.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Prasad.
Yes.
Do we get a recording of this?
Yeah, all the sessions are recorded, and once you enroll in the course, you will a user will be created for you, and these recordings will be uploaded there.
Sir, last 2 days not send the videos, sir, and so please provide the videos recording.
Yeah, even this is Radhika. I joined today. I mean, how many classes completed as of now?
There are I think it's around 6 or 7 sessions that are already finished for this batch.
Today is sixth session today.
Sixth session. Yeah. So if you want to continue with the course, you can get the recordings for the previous sessions, and you can go through them. And probably if you have any questions, we can take them up.
Yeah, Prasad.
And as far as yes.
Yeah. So in ABS actually, so this reports comes under different type of executable. So I mean. So after that, it is just immediately jump to reports registration. So is other executables? I mean,
in ERP, in ERP Cloud, we can only define one type of a concurrent program. Sorry, we can define one type of ESS job, and that is a BIP report. You cannot write a shell script, or you cannot create a PLSQL package. Probably if you go through the first few recordings of the previous 5 sessions, you will understand why we went into a BIP report today. Okay, so you can't create any other, you can't, okay, so you're creating a BIP report now, and only a BIP report is something that you can register as an ESS job. You cannot create other executable types in ERP Cloud. Okay? Yeah.
Yeah, Prasad, I got the training materials. Thank you for that.
Okay.
And I didn't get any username to see videos and all. I have only 3 videos. They send me the link. But yesterday class and today's, day before yesterday class, I don't have link.
A record. Okay. So I will.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, the way it works is I deliver the training, and there is a backend team who works on uploading the recorded videos. So what I'll do is I will intimate this to them. I'll tell them that yes, the usernames are not created yet, and the videos are not uploaded yet. Yes, Saurav, I will highlight that. Yes, the videos are not uploaded yet to the admin team, but I cannot provide you the videos because that activity will be done by a different team.
Yeah,
okay?
Just,
I will highlight it to them.
Tell them you reminded them,
sure.
So they send it to me yesterday. So
okay. I will intimate them. I will intimate them and ask them to upload all the videos. And Radhika, if you want to go through the previous recordings, you can get the link from the training institute and go through at least first few recordings, maybe 1, 2, or 3 recordings, and see if you can follow it.
Yeah.
Because it's a 6th session today, so you can go through the other recordings and see if you are comfortable with it, you can continue in the batch.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. Okay.
Ravi, sorry, if everybody completes, I have a few questions on BA or...
You can call me Prasad. My name is Prasad.
Oh, sorry, Prasad.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yes. Please go ahead.
So, if I see that, prefix for the tables, RA, so all the financial tables prefix start with RA?
Correct. All the finance tables starts with, not all the finance tables, especially the receivables start with RA. There would be some naming conventions like this. So if you take customer tables start with HZ. And if you take HCM tables, most of the tables start with PER. Okay, so there would be certain prefixes like this.
How do we get the prefixes exactly? So we only have the option of documentation?
Yeah, the documentation is the only option. There is nowhere is it mentioned that yes, it will have this way. And
Okay.
yeah, documentation is the only source.
Yeah.
So,
Prasad, is there a multi-org infusion or is just a multi-business link?
No, it's a multi-org. So you see business unit here, right? So if you want to give user an option to create transactions in 2 business units, you will give them access to the users. You have attended security session, right? I've shown you how to give data access to the users. So you give two business unit access to the user. And when they come into the transaction screen, when they come into create transaction screen, they will be able to see two business units in there. So that is exactly same as MOAC.
Okay, thank you.
I think still I have a couple more questions on the tables and the BA report. So can I understand we have only BA publisher that we can write the SQL queries, right? So in EB business, as a technical person, we get the SQL developer. So in cloud, the SQL developer we can consider as a BA report. We don't have any other option.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So if you want to write some queries, you will have to do it from a BIP report. That too with the help of a data model. You don't have any other option.
Okay. And last question, I'll not have another question other than this. So I know that finding out the table based on the functional requirement, we have only 2 options. One Google through and another one is like a documentation. Do we have any other option that we can get accurate? Because some tables start with RA and some tables may start with, HZ, stuff like that, right?
Yeah. You can.
Yes, please.
The only other option that I can think of is there is a site called support.oracle.com. So if you go into that site support.oracle.com, if you register there or if you already have registered in there, you will be able to see Fusion related information in that. In that also again you will have to search for it. There is no straightforward way as in EBS.
Okay. So for the documentation, so other than PPTs, do you refer any document that I can understand, like what is the keys and everything that we explained to go through more details about each concept? I know that we
usually go through only this one. Yeah.
Okay.
We usually do. I mean, we usually use a lot of Toad for validating queries. So in suppose let's say if you have, so there is no database access in the cloud, how do you validate the queries?
If you do some mistake, a data model will complain. So if you say if you put in 1 there,
okay,
it says that the query is not valid. So it does some validations here, But yes, you don't get that formatting options. You don't get those. You will definitely miss all the options that you used to use in Toad or SQL Developer for the past few years. It takes time to get used to this, but this is the only option available. It does validate the queries as well. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Prasad, I'm from
Thanks, everyone. Yes.
Hello. See,
Yes.
if you want to build any kind of letters, appointment letter, some offer letter, so those kind of things, this is the way we have to. Is there any concept or like?
Correct. This is the way. If you want to say build employee assignment report, or if you want to build any other HCM report for that matter, you will have to build it as a BIP report is one of the option, BA publisher report, and there is one more option called OTBI, which is much easier than BIP, because in BIP you are building all this stuff, right? So you need to identify the tables, you need to write the join conditions, and then you have to create a report, right?
Yes.
You have another option called OTBI. In OTBI, you don't need to do any of it. You don't need to write SQL at all. So you will appreciate OTBI after you cover the BIP reports. So you will realize that Oracle has already done the hard work for you on your behalf, and all you have to do is drag and drop the columns and build the report.
Yeah, I mean like this design by keeping a company logo, all things we can. That is you are going to explain that.
This part, right? This part you're asking.
Yes. The letter, it should have the
we did.
Company logos. All
Yes. I will explain how to build this layout tomorrow. We didn't come to this yet.
Nice.
We are still in the first step. Yeah, I'll explain this in detail tomorrow.
Yeah. And just I in the middle, so just want to know this FlexiField concept is over now.
Yes, correct. Yeah, there are 3 flex fields. We have created them, enabled them, seen how they work in the application.
Okay.
Yeah, flex field concept is over.
Oh, okay. And this lookups, I think you are not gone briefly. I think so.
Lookups, I've shown you how to create a new lookup. We typically don't create one. But if there is a lookup, if you are looking at a lookup given by Oracle, depending on the configuration level, or the configuration level will determine what you will be able to do. So if you create a lookup, I've shown you how to create one, right? So after you create a lookup, the information gets stored in FND lookup values table. And if you want to use that, the value from a lookup and refer it in the report, you can do that. In the SQL query, you can link up the table.
You mean like a lookup field value also we can get it in the report, sir?
Yes, you can do that.
Oh,
okay, and that's why we normally create a lookup. And that's one of the reasons why we create a lookup. So you create a lookup, store a value in there, and then you pull that value from a report. In report you're writing SQL, right? So when you create a lookup and add in an entry there, it will get stored in a table. And if you query the table in a report, you will get that information, right?
Yeah. If you don't mind, like
that's how it works.
What's the main use of that lookups? Sorry to ask this question.
Main use of that lookup is no problem. Main use of that lookup is, so say for example you are storing say for example you're storing some you need to do some calculations. Say for example you're storing a percentage in there, say a discount percentage, or say some value in the lookup, and using that value or that value might change in future, right? So if you want to one way to handle that is you can directly hard code the value in the report. Say there is think of a discount percentage, or say think of some label, or think of some address, which you can hard code it in the report. That's one option. But tomorrow if the address changes, or if the discount percentage changes, what do you need to do? You need to again search for Nagarjuna and ask him to edit the report and change the address or the discount percentage in the report, because it is hard coded, right?
Okay.
But if you create a lookup and store the address or a discount percentage or whatever might be the value, if you store it in there, and if you access the value from that lookup in a report, if tomorrow the address changes, I don't need to look for a person who has built this report. I myself can go into the lookup screen. When I say I, as a client, I'm using the system, and today the discount percentage is 10. Tomorrow it has changed to 15. And I can go to the lookup and I can change the number from 10 to 15. And when I run the report, it will automatically consider 15. I don't need to edit the report because I have pulled the value from a lookup and the value is updated there. So that is the usage of lookup. So if you create a lookup, lookups are typically used to store configurable values or values that might change in future.
Okay. Yeah. Got
Okay.
it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. We'll meet again tomorrow then.